engineer, a comic, and so much more. He uses the lightness of comedy to balance it all out. Please welcome Bob Ooten.
My wife and I have been retired for 16 years, and it wasn't long after we retired that she said, "Bobby, you've either got to get out of the house, get a hobby or a job." So I started doing stand-up comedy. Turns out that's a job that has no pay. Stand-up comedy is like a conversation. It's like a conversation with my wife, where one person gets to do all the talking. You know, I'm 81 years old. I may be the oldest person in the room, but if not, I'll just wait. Being the oldest person in the room can be kind of intimidating, but it really shouldn't be for me, because by tomorrow, I won't remember. My wife and I watch old-time movies, and inevitably 20 minutes into the movie, one of us will say, "I think we've seen this movie before." But we keep watching because neither of us can remember how it ends. I do a lot of stand-up comedy with millennials, and that can be kind of intimidating. But then I remember I have something they'll never have. And when I remember, I'll tell you. As people age, or as couples age, people say they tend to look more alike. As my wife has aged, she's 1.5 inches shorter in height than she used to be. As I've aged, I'm 1.5 inches shorter, but not in height. We as my wife and I were at an age where we can't hear each other. And, there are some downsides. Yeah, I don't know what he did, but I'm happy he's here. Anyway, as my wife and I have aged, we can't hear each other anymore. But there are some downsides. You know, my wife, now I've forgotten where I'm going. It was probably that little interruption. As a stand-up comedian, we're encouraged to get stand-up comedy buddies. My wife volunteered to be my stand-up comedy buddy. I'm thinking that's all I need is another venue for her to tell me what to do. Now, she did type up my scripts, and so I said, "Cheryl, you can't be my stand-up comedy buddy, but you can be my secretary." Next day, she became my moving man. I found all my typed up scripts and half my clothes out on the front lawn. You know, I have to think now again. You know, I went to the DMV recently to get my driver's license renewed, and they asked me if I'd be an organ donor. I thought, that's a stupid question. They know my age. They can look at me, probably realize that my organ warranties begin to expire in 1986. I know for a fact that my Happy Place faucet organ warranty has begun to expire. It's turned into a sprinkler. And now it's a drip irrigation system. My vision is that a couple sitting in the doctor's office, and he says, the good news is your little girl's going to live. We found this heart from an 81-year-old man on an organ donor's clearance rack. But you probably don't need to worry about having a college fund. And the heart does come with an accessory. Has a pacemaker. At my age, it's hard. A lot of my friends are passing away. It's really rough having to spend all that money on condolence cards. Hallmark ought to give me a senior discount. My wife and I have been married as of tomorrow for 57 years. I had to think about that because when I was practicing earlier, I said 75 years. Not before her, but. So we're thinking that's a big anniversary, and so I've got her a nice gold necklace. I'm going to attach to it a little charm called a life alert. We're at an age where we need to begin to talk about what should happen to when one of us passes away. And my wife's first wish was that she be buried with something that's kept her warm in bed at night. I'm thinking, oh my God, that poor cat. Now I remember what I have that millennials will never have. A pension. My wife wants me to remarry if she passes away first. Because I don't believe she thinks that I've suffered enough. And if my wife passes away first, I was going to say I'd be lucky. I won't have to watch lady porn with her anymore. On HGTV. I exercise a lot, and I don't know if I'm doing the right exercises. Maybe I should be doing Kegels. Matter of fact, several times during the set, I've been doing one. I do exercise a lot, and I don't know if I'm, and I get stiff in lots of parts of my body. Unfortunately, that doesn't translate to the part of my body that I need to get stiff. The moral of that story is maybe I should exercise that part of my body more. Like the last comedian, Steve. I do exercise a lot. I can't do the things that I used to do when I was younger. I climbed Mount McKinley in Alaska. Nowadays, some days I struggle just to climb out of bed. I used to play basketball. Now I play softball. And, I've finally begun to play golf. So it appears that as I've aged, my balls are getting smaller. I joined the gym recently, and the intake person said, "What are you looking for at the gym?" I said, "My abs." My wife is too old to get pregnant, and I look like I am pregnant. So I get up real early in the morning, get dressed, and race off to the gym in the dark. I got dressed in the dark. That's the key to this. And I get to the gym, and I'm changing into my gym clothes, and all the men are looking at me, and they're looking. I realize that I put on a pair of my wife's panties. They felt pretty good. So I get dressed and I go out and do my thing, get a little muscle tone, come back, get ready to take a shower, and I got 3 phone numbers. My wife and I do yoga, and my yoga teacher told my wife that I do a form of yoga called aggressive yoga. And that's because I hold the poses longer and deeper than people a fourth my age. And that's because I'm stuck. At the end of a yoga session, we do a pose called, to relax, do a pose called Savasana. I'm almost always the last one up off the floor. You put an 81-year-old man on the floor, and there I am asleep. Now they wake me so that I can pay for the next class. At my age, I watched The Last Comic Standing religiously when it was on TV. At my age, stand-up comedy is not my problem. My problem is just remaining standing. Thank you very much for coming. See you later.